HRR supply chain, highlighting and showcasing solutions for the most complex challenges facing the industry in 21st century by our team of subject matter experts and mentors. Broadcasting every week, all year round, we will present the most up-to-date series of podcasts and webinars.
Hello and welcome to another new episode of HRR Supply Chain. This is Nurhadi House. My guest today is Johannes, General Manager at Xiezhi Supply Chain Consulting, and he has been in Shanghai, China. Thank you for joining us, Johannes. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
So in today's episode, we are going to talk about skills for the new era of supply chain management. But before we jump into the sessions, can you please brief a little bit for yourself, and what do you do at the Xiezhi Supply Chain Consulting?
Sure. So Xiezhi Consulting is a spin-off from our Technical University. We founded the company because we saw that the scientific, fact-based consulting approach could actually add a lot of value to companies' plan, source, make, delivery operations. And since then we've been advising various, mainly international companies here in China. And for myself, I've been a blend of theory and practice for the past years in Asia. So on the one hand, publishing books, articles, and then on the other side, also supporting companies tackling their challenges in supply chain and digital transformation. And before that, I worked for the German technology firm Bosch, and I conducted projects, led teams in China, Korea, Japan, India, Thailand, Malaysia, and so on. I also vividly remember a project in Indonesia. Absolutely wonderful colleagues, but I will also remember being stuck in traffic jam on the way to a warehouse in Jakarta. And aside of that, I love education, and I've been teaching students from around the world in bachelor, master, MBA degrees, and so on for almost a decade now.
Okay, let's start with very fundamental questions. Why are skills in supply chain management a vital topic now?
I mean, we live in such exciting times for the supply chain profession, right?
Yeah.
So companies are recognizing that supply chain management can contribute such an immense value. And then now, especially with trade wars, COVID-19 pandemic, supply chain management is getting more and more in the limelight. And I mean, there's of course good reasons for that, right? So much is happening in the industry. Digital transformation, the overall rising complexity, customer expectations are increasing. And then also sustainability becomes finally more important, or risk management. So supply chain management is becoming a hot and sexy topic. There was even an article in Bloomberg News with the title that you should forget finance and that supply chain management is the pandemic era's must-have MBA degree. Just the thing is that, of course, with this rising importance, also the requirements rise. And there is a lack of qualified personnel in logistics, and we need qualified people who manage these challenges, and this is actually more urgent than ever. And this, of course, means that we need to think about how we can upskill the workforce.
Okay, and what skills in supply chain management are most important now?
Well, I mean, broadly, you can distinguish them in three categories, I would say.
Three categories, right.
So the first one is conceptual skills. So this is about seeing the big picture, right? The entire integrated process. And I mean, it is important to have this end-to-end supply chain understanding, right? From material suppliers, the procurement function, then what about your production, final delivery of the finished products, but it's also about after sales or planning. And you just need to be able to connect the dots. Right? What will the effect be if our single source supplier in China goes bankrupt? Or what is the impact if one of our distribution warehouses is locked down now due to COVID? Or how could inventory costs change if we use a railway connection instead of sea transport? And then the second category is people skills. And I know that consultants from BCG, they predicted in a Harvard Business Review article in, I think, 2018 that within the next, 5 years or something, the supply chain management function will be obsolete and then replaced by some self-regulating systems with little human intervention. but yeah, I mean, so far that didn't really seem to have happened, right? And I'm also not very positive that this will happen very soon. So if we acknowledge that people are still a vital part of the supply chain, then of course we need to think about how we can manage them effectively. So being able to communicate, listen actively, providing constructive feedback. We need to be able to lead teams and lead meetings and work as a team member with others. And for these people skills, of course, the base is that we know and then also understand our own values and beliefs and what are the assumptions, attitudes, because all this is affecting our behavior. And well, the third category I would say is the technical skills. So more this domain knowledge. So what are the methods or processes, what are procedures, techniques? I mean, how do you run a supply chain? Yeah. How do you design a supply chain? Where would you set a decoupling point between a physical, efficient, market responsive supply chain, or in purchasing? I mean, how do you define a supplier strategy? In logistics, how do you conduct warehouse assessment or design transport network? And then in the past years, of course, IT skills related to supply chain management are becoming critical. So here, for example, understanding possibilities and limitations of data analytics or some other new technologies.
Okay, so next question is how to build up these skills, Johannes?
Yeah, it's a good question because I mean there are great supply chain management degree programs out there. But honestly, many of them are just too theoretical and they're not really tailored to the actual needs of learners. So I always say that we need cooks, not chemists, right? People that can prepare an actual meal instead of, discussing, I don't know what molecules might be best suitable in a fried rice or what. And you often run into the issues that education without application is more like entertainment. So that means that you should find degree programs which truly integrate theory and practice. As examples, in Germany, we have a great concept from a university called DHBW, that's Duale Hochschule or Cooperative State University in Baden-Württemberg. And there you, every 3 months, you alternate between studying in the form where you really have this theory phases, deep learning, and then working in a partner company where you can apply this. But of course, if you don't have the time or means to study at a university full-time, you can also think about online courses and books. The knowledge itself, it's really all out there. You don't have to pay for an MBA or whatsoever degree. The knowledge is all out there. And that costs you basically nothing, right? And then think about finding ways how you can apply it in your job, or find a side project, or maybe even do some voluntary work to apply this in practice.
Okay, I received this question from many of young supply chain professionals. So, what advice you can offer to them to keep staying agile in response to the recent challenge?
So young supply chain professionals should first of all understand that upskilling is absolutely essential.
Upscaling, right? Okay.
Yes. So I mean, with the digital transformation in supply chain, the nature of work is changing. And that means, I mean, of course, again, depending on the study you read, but some 40 to 60% of jobs are at risk of automation. And we're not just talking about blue collar labor, but this also affects white collars. So for the young supply chain professionals, to all of you out there listening, keep in mind that nobody will do that for you. You need to take the initiative. You need to manage your competencies. And a great tool for identifying such competencies, so those that are really most critical for an organization, and then of course, ultimately for yourself, is a competence model. Sunja Ayush is a senior training specialist at Robert Bosch. She wrote a chapter about this in a book that we recently published. So you can read all the details about it. It's called The Digital Transformation of Logistics and is edited by my colleague Max Sullivan and me. So such competence management, they can really help employees and companies to prepare and then, of course, respond to future challenges. Yeah. And then, of course, young supply chain professionals should listen to your podcast. I mean, nobody can justify not spending these 50 or maybe 20 minutes to listen to these great learning nuggets that you always publish.
Right. So it's back to your advice, right? Upscaling, right?
Yes, upskilling, yes.
Johannes, I actually still have a couple of questions, but I think we are running out of time. So to wrap up our discussion, what is key message that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh, invest in your skills. And really, I mean it. This is so vital, so crucial, so important. So find educational institutes which actually teach you something instead of just awarding a degree. And look for opportunities to learn new things and apply what you have learned. And this can be, as I said, this can be inside or this can be outside of your organization. Leverage your network, right? Think about it. Who around you can be offline, can be online, can give you some advice about successful strategies and then helpful courses, yeah?
Yeah.
And finally, yes, this is now, it's a very, very serious topic, yeah? But I also believe that upskilling can actually be great fun, yeah? So I personally, I get a lot of joy out of learning new things. And I believe it's also quite rewarding if you put new things into action. And I hope at least that this is also actually true for a lot of people.
All right, Johannes, thank you again for joining us today. Thank you for being on, and I look forward to speaking with you at another time.
Terima kasih banyak. It was great being your guest.
At Bichara Supply Chain, we are committed to driving global perspective to embrace technological adaptation in improving process efficiencies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Bichara Supply Chain. And stay tuned for the latest updates. To learn more, visit our website www.bicharasupplychain.com. Thank you for listening to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.